All right, welcome to Summit Stories. I'm Jonathan Musgrave, joined today with Joel Johnson in Connecticut. Joel, it's great to have you on here. Thanks so much for being on.
It's good to be with you. I'm excited about this.
I am too. So, as you know, Summit Stories is really where we want to get to know the advisors that are working with us. The purpose of this is to get to know you as an advisor and for you to be able to share your experiences, both successes and challenges through marketing. So that can be steep marketing, it can be other marketing, but really excited to have you on here because I know you guys have been super active with a number of different things, including webinar marketing over the last couple of years, or last couple of years, but especially over the last few months here. So. Joel, before we get too far into it, I'd love for people to get to know you a little bit as a person. What sort of things do you enjoy doing? Do you have any hobbies or, fun things you like to do?
Well, recently I took up driving race cars, so I'm in my second year of that, of formal racing. And that's a lot of fun. I like starting things that I'm not any good at, that I haven't done before. Because it reminds me of starting in this business when I didn't know anything. Now, of course, the size our business is, the company kind of manages itself with the talent we have. So it's nice to do something that I have to work really hard at. So love driving race cars. I love traveling, big hobby of mine. So it's a little bit of a challenge now, but it looks like we're coming out of some of the restrictions and I'll be able to travel as much as I like to. And then I just like to read. I read everything from nonfiction to fiction, history, listen to a bunch of podcasts. I like to soak up knowledge. I like to learn stuff. So even at the ripe old age of 58, I'm still got a lot to learn, and I love learning new things.
That's awesome. That's race car stuff sounds fun. That's a big hobby to take up when you've never done it before at this age, but you've always been a car guy. So I'm sure going fast isn't a new thing for you.
Oh, that's very true. It just wasn't on the track before.
Very cool. Joel, tell us a little bit about your practice. I know you've got a different style operation than a lot of advisors out there, but I'd love for you to explain just a little bit how things are today, and then maybe just a little background on kind of how you decided to build the business the way you did and what it took to get there.
Sure. So maybe I can just start with how we started, because I think the philosophy is very important. And I started in this business in 1989 in securities only. I worked for a brokerage firm. And then I added insurance to my business in 93, fall of 93, and started adding to, selling mutual funds and so on, life insurance, disability insurance. And I would go around and sit with families at their kitchen table and young families like we were at the time and sell them what they needed to start off their financial lives. And, got better and better at that. Went into more business style insurance planning, business style investment planning to solve tax problems and buy sell agreements and so on. And in about 2002, I was starting to get frustrated because I was just getting sucked into a lot of things that weren't any fun anymore. I wanted to meet with people. I love the idea of helping people make decisions that they would not make on their own, which is, I think, a big part of what our business is, helping people make decisions that left to their own devices they wouldn't make, decisions that are good for them. And I started thinking, what if there was a way I could just sit with clients and get rid of all this stuff? And I had a staff at the time, and so this idea was percolating. I had two people, one that's actually still with me now, my chief operations officer, and another woman named Rhonda. And about that time, I heard of a company that was training people to do seminars. And let me back up just a minute. I really didn't like the prospect. I'm kind of insecure. I didn't like the prospect. I didn't like the no's. I didn't like hammering clients for referrals every time I saw them. I didn't like going to the country club, which I don't really do, but I didn't like going places and just always looking around for prospects. Who can I sell? You're in church, instead of just being in church, being present, I'm scanning the audience and just that whole vibe. I hated it. And so I heard that, you could invite people to a dinner seminar, talk to them, win them over personally. And then if they wanted an appointment, they check a box. And if they don't want an appointment, they don't check a box. And voila, I don't have to get rejected anymore. And I thought that was awesome. But I also had this idea still percolating that was, how can I get rid of all this stuff? There's too many jobs as an advisor that we're told we need to do. And the reality is we don't need to do those things. If we do the few things that we're supposed to do well, which is, again, persuading people to do what they should do, but they wouldn't do on their own, and then good knowledge and use of financial planning and products and so on. If I could just focus on that, I felt like I could get really big. And so So with the, a couple circumstances that came together, meeting a couple people, we began to build this company. And the focus of the company is to get rid of everything the advisor doesn't like to do, isn't good at, that sucks the advisor's energy. Just take that off their plate and let them just see people. And they don't have to follow up. They don't have to do any of the things that advisors either aren't good at, or maybe they're good at if they try real hard, but they don't really want to do that. And then we started building this company. And at first I was the one advisor. Then we brought on another one. Then we brought on another one. We started to build the infrastructure where we do everything for that advisor. We process their business. We do their follow-up. They don't even set their appointments. If they see somebody and they're supposed to get in touch with them in 6 months, we don't let them do that. We do that for them. And so we've taken everything off the plate that the advisor doesn't want to do, or maybe they kind of want to do it, but it takes their energy away. It takes their confidence away. And we created an environment where they can just see people, manage relationships, bring in new relationships, and so on. And that was really the philosophy that started this business. And I'm a big student, like I said earlier, of learning. And so I'm constantly learning from other models, other business coaches, the accounting model, accounting firm model, the law firm model. And that's how we built this firm. And so, now we have, I don't even know, I should know this. We have 40 employees, we have 38 or 40 employees. We have 9 advisory teams. And what I mean by that is there's 9 main advisors, and then there's a couple people that work behind the scenes with them. So a total of about 12 licensed people, but 9 advisory teams. And our advisors just spend their time with people, and they don't have a lot of stress in their lives. They don't have to try to figure out how to create appointments. And that's how we built the firm. And but getting back to that main premise, which is I just want the advisors doing what they like to do, which is seeing people. And as a business owner, or the majority owner of this business, my job is to create appointments. The biggest problem any financial advisor has is having enough appointments. If you have enough appointments, if you get more appointments and fill your calendar with appointments, it makes up for all kinds of other inefficiencies in business. If you're not a great business person, if you're not a fantastic planner, if you don't know how to hire people, if you can't keep people, if you're hiring your sister-in-law because she needed a job, all of that stuff that's probably not the best thing for a business owner, but you just learn how to create more appointments, it makes up for all those problems. Now, obviously, you should be a good business owner too, but if you just create appointments, and we have all kinds of different ways we create appointments, it makes the business grow. And that is still, it was the fundamental thing that told us if we were going to be successful in business in the future back in 2003, creating more appointments, and it still is today. And as there's been times where we tried to get away from that, Jonathan, where we tried to get a little more sophisticated. And you know what we find out after going through a little pain and wondering why we're not growing? It's all about create appointments. Create more appointments, you're going to grow your business.
It's interesting to hear you start that story off by saying, I hated prospecting. Now you say my number one job as a business owner is to create appointments for people.
Yeah.
And I do understand the difference in the old school way of prospecting and what you're doing now with truly building a marketing plan. But I think that evolution is really cool to see in business. And, you might not close at 80% or at even 50%, but if you are meeting with 8 new people every day, your odds to succeed are obviously much, much higher. And that all comes down to marketing. So I'd love to talk a little bit more about kind of your emphasis in marketing, because I know as a business owner, I've heard someone say before, everybody as a professional, regardless of what you do, you own a marketing company. It just so happens that you sell financial services. And I think that's the perspective that you and I both share. I run a marketing company, but we also market for ourselves. And of course, as a financial advisor, you own a marketing company. You're just fulfilling financial services. What sort of things have you done as a CEO, not necessarily someone implementing marketing plans, but as a CEO, how have you invested in becoming a better marketer, and what sort of things have you learned, or events have you gone to, people have you met that have made an impact in that?
Well, not so much on the marketing side, but I'm a member of Strategic Coach, which most people in our business have heard of. Dan Sullivan started this company, and it's business coaching by group. It's not one-on-one, and he gets you thinking the right way about business. So it's not how to. If you need ABC, if you need 10 steps to do X, that's not what it is. It's how to think. So that's been just transformational in my life, because one of the first things that strategic coach told me to do is it's okay to be yourself. And I want to spend a minute on this because I think this is just so important. This business tries to get people to fit into holes. They hire us and they say, you're going to be in business for yourself. And then they try to tell you exactly what you have to look like. And I was one of those guys when I was with an insurance company, insurance agency. I would be leading the agency for new agents, but I'd go to these client builder meetings every week and end up feeling like crap afterwards because I wasn't getting my points. You get a point for referral and a point for appointment and so on. And strategic coach told me, I can be myself and I can build a business around that, around who I am as a person. Then in addition to that, Jonathan, because of that, and because of the people I met, I started going to and really being a student of marketing. There's a guy out there named Dean Jackson. I actually co-wrote a little book for financial advisors with him. Just a brilliant marketer, wonderful guy, brilliant marketer. Just has a unique ability and a talent for phrasing things right and just changing one word on something. And, so I began to start being a student of marketing. And, I can just throw up a bunch of names here, Dean Jackson, Dean Graziosi, Jeff Walker, groups like, the Genius Network, different Facebook conferences you can go to, Ryan Dice, who has, I'm with a big insurance group, insurance brokerage firm that they brought him in a few times, and just learning and then figure out how to apply some of that stuff to what we do. Because some of it you have to kind of filter through, right, Jonathan? It's not, we're not selling vitamin supplements or, bulletproof coffee or something like that. We're selling an intangible. So what are we really marketing? We're marketing, how people feel after they meet with us and how do you word it right and so on. So just become a real student of marketing. And, there's a lot of good stuff out there. There's a lot of garbage out there. There's a lot of people that are better at selling their services than they are delivering on their promises. So you got to kind of weed through that. But when all's said and done, I think if people are just students, and if I was to say join, one or two groups, Jonathan, I know they can contact you and you can refer people to the best digital marketers out there. I have a few people that I like to follow, but there's probably people that are better. I mean, Jeff Walker with his product launch formula, there's this formula he has on how to build excitement and launch a product instead of just vomiting the product out there into the public. And, you can take that and work it with our business. So, I could go on and on. You can tell I'm just excited about marketing, but I think if you're a student, if you're open-minded, if you realize there are other people better than you at doing this stuff, and if you just kind of, my idea being around Dean Graziosi and Jeff Walker was, if I can just get 10 or 20% as good as they are, I'm going to do really well in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really cool perspective to have. And, as a services business, a lot of what you learn about digital marketing, it can seem like it doesn't apply to you. Like you said, we don't sell a physical product or mail coffee out in the mail or any of that. But if you can take bits and pieces of what people do and figure out a way to kind of attribute that, and find the commonalities between you and your business, I think that's a big thing. And that's ultimately what we did at SEEP. I think when I started in digital marketing in 2015, there was really no one else doing digital marketing in financial services that I knew of. So there was nobody to go and imitate. It's like, how can I go outside of my industry and figure out how to apply what those people are doing here? So that's cool. And a lot of the guys you mentioned are just rock stars out there. And, like you said, investing in learning, regardless of who it's with, is a really important part of growing. So,
well, what the cool thing is, and, as people that are really good at something, my experience is most of them want to help you. I kind of met you by chance, Jonathan, and I was introduced to SEEP by chance. And now it's a massive marketing channel for us to create new appointments. And not only that, it really kind of saved our butts last year when all of a sudden we got shut down for live face-to-face events. Being a strategic coach, when I decided I wanted to do a TV program and be on TV to generate leads, I'm in a room and I'm sitting next to Dean Graziosi and I'm saying, I was thinking about doing this and I don't know if I'm going to be good at it or not. And he says, well, here's how you need to do it, and just like this 5-minute conversation has produced literally, I'm not exaggerating here, probably $5 to $10 million of revenues for our company because of a 5-minute conversation of somebody telling me, here's how to structure it. Here's how to structure it on the front end. Here's how to structure the web stuff on the back end, the landing pages and the forms to fill out and all that stuff. If I wouldn't have been in that group, that was a strategic byproduct, a byproduct that happened just by being around the right people. And I don't care if it's your insurance brokerage firm, if it's your broker dealer, there is somebody that can have a 5-minute conversation with you that'll change your life. And when I met you and I was introduced to the STEEP program and so on, it was just like, oh, here's an idea. Why don't I try it? And one of the things I've learned over the years is that, you don't try something and judge it after 30 days. You don't try something once. You have to say, I'm going to do this for 6 months. And after 6 months, I'm going to look back and say, did it work? And if it didn't work, was it me or was it the concept of the program? I hear a lot of people say, seminars don't work, radio doesn't work. Well, maybe it's not the seminars and the radio doesn't work. Maybe it's that you suck at doing those things, right? So I'm real, cautious about making up my mind too quick and saying, okay, does the concept work? Is it working for anybody? And then can I make it work? And if not, and if it's a valid concept, let's figure out a way to make it work. And I'm always looking at me and our firm and saying, what are we doing that's making this that has worked for so many people not work?
Yeah.
And where are we going wrong?
Right. And our tendency is to blame everybody else. It certainly can't be me that's the problem. So we're looking at finding somebody to blame. That's human nature. And it's definitely part of being a business too, because we know in our core, like, we've had a degree of success to get to where we are. So, obviously we're good at our core skill set, but I think having that humility to look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, do I have a role in the success that we're not seeing right now? So you mentioned kind of pivoting into webinars. If you're watching this later, it's March 2nd in 2021. So we're almost a whole year into 30 days to flatten the curve right now. And so
15 days to stop the spread.
Exactly. So we're, we've been doing this virtual marketing thing for a long time. And, you guys have been super active in webinars, Joel. I don't know if even you understand like the volume that your entire team is doing this, because I know we work, really closely, but I've got 6 different advisors we've done webinar events for. I think including stuff that's launching this week, there are about 57 different webinar campaigns that you've done. And that's all within the last 9 months or so. So more than one a week, sometimes 1 or 2 a week, a big investment into this. But maybe what we could start with, Joel, is I'm guessing the very first webinar you did wasn't the best one that you've ever done. I'm looking at some of the most recent ones you've done that were awesome. But I'm guessing early on in that process, there were some challenges. What sort of things did you encounter right off the bat that made it difficult, and what sort of workarounds have you found to help make those better?
Yeah, well, there were 2 challenges. I think the first one is really, really important, you guys, because I counted something as a failure right off the bat that was not a failure at all, which was, if you have 100 people sign up, somewhere between 20 and 50 are going to show up. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is a disaster. What's going on? And I just had to learn, okay, that's what it is. Whatever that is, it is, 30% show up, 50% show up, whatever the number is, let's get over my preconceived idea of, if we have a workshop, 100% are going to show up. And so let's get over ourselves there. That just is what it is. Still extremely cost effective. And then the other thing was, how do we do a great job? This is a new medium. I'm not in front of somebody walking around. They don't feel the energy in the room. They're not sitting there with 50 other people or 40 other people in a seminar room at a restaurant with, glasses tinkling in the background. And there's all this cool stuff going on. They're sitting in their pajamas probably, or it's after dinner. And we're a little bit of this sideshow, we're kind of going on, but there's other stuff going on in the background. And, maybe mentally they leave and come back. And so what do I need to do to get really good at that? How do I engage people? How do I be over the top with enthusiasm? Because I got to turn, I got to do 3 times as much as far as a connection to make that connection through a computer screen. And that was a really important thing to learn. And it was hard in the beginning. We had to get good. We had to learn to maybe tease the appointment or what we were going to ask for throughout the seminar. There's a guy named Frank Kern that has a great little triangle I saw him draw once. And it was, tell them what you got, tell them how it's going to benefit them, and then tell them what to do. And we weren't telling people what to do enough. We weren't telling them, hey, you're going to have an opportunity to book an appointment with us to really, take advantage of some of these concepts. We weren't teasing that enough throughout the seminar, so that when it came at the end, it was like this, what? Where did that come from? The audience didn't really know what to do with it. So we learned a lot of stuff like that. But, again, the big 2 things were expectations. And then we had to be really better than we were in person because people are watching it through a TV screen, and we'd like to think we're really special and they're paying attention to us, but it's not that way. You got to be good. Just like somebody, watches a TV program. If it's not good, people are going to flip the channel. And so it really made us raise our game up to be engaging and to, look right through that screen and talk like we were talking to one person, have the pauses and the right words, and maybe make it visual enough with PowerPoint and things like that. And, not boring, don't be boring. It's an important thing. And so that was the main thing, is we had to get really good. It wasn't that hard to get good, but it was important to recognize that this is a different game. In some ways it's easier because it's really convenient for us to do the webinars. It's a controlled environment. We don't have to worry about some knucklehead bringing out the salads too early while we're in the middle of our close and all that stuff. But we had to be better as far as our communication skills.
Mm-hmm. Kind of reminds me, this is going to be like me revealing a little bit of my nerd side, but when I was in college, my minor was actually English literature, and I had to read a bunch of like old English literature. And a lot of that, like, you read Shakespeare, and it was written not for you to read in a book, but it was written for someone to stand on stage and deliver it. And talked a lot about presentation and how like these exaggerated emotions, bigger than you would see on television and movies today, were necessary because you're trying to communicate in this like really broad forum. I almost think that's what we have to do with webinar marketing is, whatever you would do to try to be engaging in person, like you got to turn that dial up a little bit and, kind of put your radio voice on and get really excited because you have different mediums to communicate with, and like, it almost takes amping that up a little bit to really take advantage of those formats.
Yeah. And just to give people a tip that are watching this, Dean Graziosi is the guy to study with this, because everything he does, there's so much enthusiasm. And I've been there when he's recording something, and it seems like when you're in the room and he's doing it, he's so over the top. It's like, oh my God, this is obnoxious almost. But then you watch it, and it's just good old enthusiasm and personality and very engaging and attractive, right? And so, people want to go to school on what you need to seem like when you're bringing across a concept that you want people to take action on, and how to look friendly and how to look enthusiastic and so on. He's the guy to watch as far as that goes. And you're right, Jonathan. I mean, we've got to realize that the medium is very different when we're coming through a computer screen than it is in person.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we found through our stats that like up to 50% of the viewers on our webinars are actually watching on their mobile phone. So it's not even like what you and I are looking at with a computer screen. I mean, you've got someone on their couch looking at their phone like this.
So. Getting texts at the same time and so on. Yeah.
Exactly. So it is different. And putting yourself in your consumer's shoes for a minute and understanding like, hey, what would it take for me to actually watch this for 40 minutes without leaving? And kind of keeping that storyline really exciting and energetic throughout the whole time. So, Joel, you guys have done a lot of different campaigns. I'm looking through your Social Security. There's some stuff on market volatility, estate planning. The one that seems like you've done the most individually is Women's Retirement Roadmap. I think over 20 campaigns just of that one format. If you're not familiar, the program basically is helping with two things. One is, women have unique financial needs that a lot of advisors aren't talking to. And two is, addressing it in such a way that you can present yourself as a subject matter expert, helping women to understand how their retirement plan should be different. Obviously, you've seen a lot of success with this, but I'd love to hear, were there things that were challenging about that or anything specific that you've learned about marketing to women that's been useful in your business?
Well, one is it helps to have a woman do the seminar, my friend Tom Mosley out in Orange County, California, seems to do really well doing seminars to women, but we didn't. It was a disaster. I mean, we're up here in Connecticut and Massachusetts where, people emulate Elizabeth Warren. And, the first one of these things we did was a train wreck. We were accused of being sexist and out of touch and everything else. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't need to experience pain twice. We're going to have a woman do it. And we have this wonderful young advisor named Heather, who's a CFP, and she's great. And so we had her start doing the seminars. Now she had a rough time in the beginning. She didn't know how to be that personality and so on and so forth. But, there's a concept here of niching something, be going really deep. I have a really good friend of mine that only sells disability insurance to doctors. That's it. And he does so well by excluding 98% of the population. And so that's the same concept with women's seminars. There's, like you said, Jonathan, there's unique needs. Speak to those needs. Speak to those needs in a way that they are comfortable. Sometimes women have they've had bad experiences with financial advisors that talk down to them, that can't relate, that don't listen, that don't ask the right questions, and so on. And so they want help, but they're skeptical that they're going to have this experience they've had before. But women are great savers. They know they live longer. They know they've got to do planning. They have their guard up a little bit. But at the same time, if you as a person or somebody at your firm can break through that and do the right thing and listen and understand and put together good planning, it's a huge market. Women control more money than men do. I don't know if people do that. On an individual household business, the women are either the biggest influencers or they're actually in control of the checkbook. I don't even know how much money is in our checking account right now and how much money is in the savings account that we have at our bank. Wendy pays the bills and so on. I don't even know how much a loaf of bread costs. Now I manage the money because I'm in this business as far as investments go, but she has the influence. She absolutely has an influence. And so it's important to realize that and to market to it and market to it in a respectful, non-arrogant way. And so, but the women's seminar is great. We get the biggest response, Jonathan, biggest signups. I think it's the highest percentage of show ups to signups, and people stay on the whole time. And, when the call to action is given, they sign up for an appointment that moment, or what we do is call the next day typically and pick up a ton of appointments. So it's great. And the prospects are phenomenal. And, once they come in for an appointment and see Heather, she does a great job with them. They're very loyal so far. We've only been doing this for a little while, but we get a ton of referrals. So I think they're pretty loyal. And it's just been a great niche for us. And I call it a niche, which is kind of, shows a little bit of my male arrogance because it's not a niche. It's a wide group. But at the same time, it's huge. And most people, every advisor goes to conferences and they say, well, you need to market to women. And then what do? We try it, doesn't work. We go back to the old, way we were doing things. And we're missing a massive need out there that can be fulfilled by the right firm and the right person.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Looking at stats that we pulled from Heather's most recent women's event, had 87 people sign up, 40 people show up. So right around that 40% we're targeting. And then of those 40 people who are actually live on the webinar, 23 people clicked to do a call to action. So we don't see on our end like exactly how many of those people actually scheduled appointments, but usually that number is something like 20%. In this case, it's like over 50%. So yeah. I think it just proves the point that, when you have a specific audience that's identified and you speak to a message to them that's very impactful and you do it in a persuasive way, there's a ton of opportunity there. So, think back through seminars. You might spend $10,000 to do 2 events at Morton Steakhouse. A lot of times you're not coming out of that with 23 appointments. So a lot of opportunity, with webinars when you can really get that stuff nailed out.
Well, and it's more than 10, right? I can do 2.5 steeps for one workshop when you count the food and so on. So, I like things that are automatic and that can be repeatable and scalable. And, the webinars are just like the workshops with a different set of, I don't have to be there. I don't have to give people comp time because they were out at night. I don't have to worry about the snow. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. Another campaign we had done recently with you, it was David Shapiro in your office who actually presented it. I think it was a Social Security event, and we had a little over 100 people register from the marketing we did, which was a really good success. I think our target for that was 50. We went up to I think 107. But in total, there were 327 people who signed up for that event. And those other 210 came from your email list. And I know you guys have a huge emphasis on not just maintaining an email list, but doing a great job of sending content out to them. So you see an additional 200 people sign up through email. And I think in total of the 182 people who were on there, 85 of those people set appointments. And, there's a mixture, of course, of like the cold traffic and the new people in there. But
right.
some people don't understand that, like, we'll actually build out a totally separate campaign for an email marketing send that you can do on your own. We'll provide the email blast copy, and we'll set up a separate landing page, make a special roster. All you have to do is take that content and send it out to your email list. But I know, Joel, you're a huge believer in email marketing. You guys have made a big investment in that. Obviously, it's paying dividends, but do you have any advice for other advisors who are maybe not doing email marketing or not doing as much as they should, or anything that you went through to try to get to where you're at now?
Yeah, I'll tell you some basic rules, because some people try to go right from doing nothing to this sophisticated Infusionsoft / Pardot, this geometrical tree where you end up with 10,000 different combinations, and it becomes overwhelming. Again, they hire the sister-in-law that needs a job to try to run it. So that's never a good idea. And then they quit, or they realize it's too expensive. It's not how we started out. We started out with an Excel spreadsheet, physically sending people one email a week 3 times. And if they didn't ask for an appointment, we moved on. That's email marketing. People think email marketing has to be this really complicated thing. It's not. You provide some content and you ask for them to do something. And you do that 3 times and make sure the content is valuable. And so that's how we started, Jonathan. And it was just real simple. And it's the concept of, let's provide value for somebody first. And when the timing is right, and if the chemistry is right with us and them, they will sooner or later need help. And it gives us an opportunity to have been the one, when they need help, to have provided valuable content, not just about your firm and how awesome you are. Here's a clue, nobody cares, but stuff that they're interested in. And it could be things that aren't even financial in nature, the 10 best places to live when you retire, what you need to know about, what you need to know about buying a retirement home, all that kind of stuff, just to give people value so they are opening your email. And when the time is right, and if you're patient, got to be patient, they will ask for an appointment. Another big mistake people make in email marketing is, they send out one email and they pick up the phone and they call the people. And that's too obnoxious. It's too, and people feel like they're in a safe zone when they're looking at their phone, reading an email, or looking at their computer. All of a sudden now you're the car salesman. What the hell happened? I thought I was just in a safe zone, and now I'm not anymore because this guy's calling me. And so I think email marketing needs to be somewhat systematic, but it can be simple. You don't need to buy one of these expensive systems. We do, have a pretty expensive system that's been built out and is run by somebody that's their full-time job. And we create all kinds of content. Got content to create today. Some 5 Q&A questions that we'll put up on. See, I don't even know how it's done. People type a question into Google. They end up getting to me. I answer the question. And then they're asked to leave their email if they want additional valuable content. And then they're in this list. And, it gets really sophisticated on the back end, incredibly sophisticated when you've been doing it as long as we have. But the concept is the same. You offer something of value, and then you offer information that's valuable to somebody, and then you make an offer that they can respond to. That's why it's called direct response marketing. Same idea.
Yeah, and I think that you hit the nail on the head there. I think, I had a conversation with a guy the other day who wanted to build a really intricate email marketing system, and he had about 500 people in his database, which isn't a lot. And I said, you're going to spend so much time and money creating this intricate system for a group of people that's relatively small right now. Yeah. And my encouragement to him was, start off by creating one simple piece of content every week and just sending it out, and just start to get that list warmed up a little bit. Because, if you have a list that you haven't sent to for a while, and then you send an email blast out to them with a direct call to action to come to an event or something, you're going to have a bunch of unsubscribes. People are not going to value what that is. So, starting simple, the very basics is, everybody is selfish. They want to know what's in it for them. So fulfill that desire, tell them, give them something of value. And then you kind of purchase that right later on in the future to get something out of it. And obviously when you do it the way you've done it, you've got a lot of opportunity. I'm guessing here, out of the 60 events we've done over the last year, you probably added something like 4,000 new emails to your database. And some of those, of course, turn into appointments right away. But some of those are just now in your email list, so that when you have future subsequent offers, you've got a much bigger pool of people that you can reach out to and market to.
No, it's massive. And what will happen is, somebody will sign up for a webinar that we advertise, but then they might not show up, but they're in our system. I mean, I'm looking at a sheet here through all digital channels last week. This is the week ending 3/1. So this is up through Sunday, which would have been February 28th. Just that week, I think we added 500 or 600 people. I'm sorry, that's not brand new. About 300 people that went into our email list. And so, they'll be invited to future webinars. They might be invited to a special event. They might not be invited to anything. They're just in there and they're on autopilot until they raise their hand and say, hey, we're interested. And so you're right, Jonathan. I mean, there's so many ways to feed that list. But, I've got a friend of mine that says, hey, don't come to me and tell me, oh, you've got this brilliant product. You want to change the world. Why don't you just try changing your neighborhood first? And then maybe your town. And then maybe your state. Don't get all carried away. And that's kind of what you were saying with that person that has 500 names. Make the biggest impact on those 500 people. Those are people. Those are families that need your help. You don't need a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 list. And get good at that. And don't make it so darn complicated.
Absolutely. Start simple. Get ninja later. I think that's a great concept. I got two other things I want to ask you, Joel. Going into 2021, I think one of the things I realized for our business is that adaptability and flexibility is critical. And I think you saw over last year, people who adapted, they either made it or they didn't make it, but they tried. And people who didn't adapt, they're not doing anything right now. If you didn't change your approach in 2020, then you're probably not in business any longer. Going into 2021, it's a little bit different. We've got a vaccine that's come out. We've got, I would say an appetite among our consumers for wanting to get back out there and do things again. I know advisors want to get back to doing physical in-person events and meetings. What's kind of your forecast for this year? When you sit down and say, hey, by December of this year, we're expecting to do this sort of marketing. Obviously, webinars are going to play a role in it, but what's kind of your plan in terms of getting back to physical events and balancing that with online marketing?
Well, we want to get back to the same amount of physical events that we did before. So in Connecticut, we were doing 11 live dinner seminars per month. And so we want to get back to that, but we won't drop any of the webinars that we're doing. There's no reason to. It's not labor intensive. I got a friend of mine that says, if you got a problem, you can write a check to solve, then you don't have a problem. And we can just write a check and we know what's going to happen with the webinars, whether they're cold, Facebook lead, bringing people to a webinar, or whether they're emailing to our own list. So we won't change. We're excited to get back to the live seminars. It's fun for us, myself and 3 or 4 other people in the office. We like doing the live seminars. Don't always like it when we're driving to the event. We're going, oh my God, another night we got to, but the second we hit the stage, it's exciting. And so we'll keep doing that, but we're not going to drop the webinars at all, Jonathan. And so, we have a number of different marketing channels, but we've really learned how to be good at something that we were sort of dabbling in, before last year. And I'm excited about it. So we won't drop anything. I mean, our goal is to do, we want to do a couple webinars a week. It's easy. It's not labor intensive. We know the rate of return. If I write a check for $1, I'm going to get somewhere between $3 and $5 back every time. It's like clockwork. And so we'll keep doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's the perspective to take. If Corona did anything to our business as marketers, I think what it did is it sped up the clock like 10 years in terms of consumers' appetite to use technology to interact with us. And I think eventually we would have gotten here, but, without being able to be physically present, everybody has been buying, Facebook portals to go on their countertop and talk to friends and family and using their phones and Zoom and, all of these different means of communication are now somewhat normal. And I don't think that that's going to go away. I think that there's a, somewhat of a regression back to normal in terms of how people are going to behave. But I also think that technology is here to stay. And that if we look at webinars as this point in time, we're going to really miss out on a lot of future opportunity because we've proven to ourselves that our consumers are willing to come and talk to us in that format and engage with us.
Let me just make a comment about that. What it's done is 2 or 3 years ago, there was a large segment of the population, particularly over 55, that weren't quite ready to trust someone that they didn't meet in person. What has happened over the last year has forced people to sort of leapfrog ahead, like you said, years. And now all of a sudden, that person that's 65 is willing to trust somebody that they meet through a screen. And so it's really done a favor to us as far as, because that was the big objection, right? They're not quite going to trust me. There's not going to be as much of a connection. And part of that's still true, but a lot more people will trust you now than they would have a year and a half, 2 years ago, because they've been forced to get used to doing business this way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon. Joel, I think one of the things you're really good at not just as a marketer, but content creator, and understanding like what is it that motivates people to take action. You and I have kind of been working together on a custom campaign we've been doing for your office. We've called that "Don't Run Out of Retirement." And I think that's kind of a cool way to kind of put this time horizon in terms of people's minds when they think about their money. At its heart, it's really an income planning seminar, teaching people how, this is how much money you have. Here's how much time you have. Now, how do you make an equation for these two things to work together? I'd love to hear just a little bit about kind of your motivation in wanting to use this content and kind of like what you hope to see the program do in the future.
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to keep something simple. I want to keep a one subject seminar. It's a little bit different than what we used to do at a dinner seminar, because again, you had a more captive audience. And so, how do we deliver something that's one subject? Now we're niching the marketing, right, Jonathan? We're saying, I only want people that are saying, yes, I want to learn more about this. I don't want to learn about financial planning. I don't want to learn about these, 12 things I need to know before. I want to learn income planning. I want to learn how to not run out of money in retirement. And so that was the idea. Let's really niche this deep and get only people that want to learn about one thing. And then let's build a seminar and just keep it simple. And you guys have done a great job getting people to show up for that. And because it's a one subject seminar, if the presenter, again, can keep it simple, not blindside somebody with a call to action at the end, but sprinkle that call to action all the way through, it can work, and it can work really well. And people know that they're coming in either to our office, or they're going to set up a Zoom appointment to talk about income planning. And so that's the idea. And, there's good seminars on taxes. You guys have a couple that are good on taxes that we've done. You mentioned the one on women and financial planning. And so we just wanted to do something that really nails down the importance of income planning, which is basically what financial planning is. Because it's all about the income, right? And then keep it simple and dive deep into that subject. And it's been amazing. People stay on the whole time. There's not this, well, I got 50 people showing up, and by halfway through it, there's only 25 left. They stay on the whole time. And I think they're really engaged according to the little chats and the comments that we get, and so on.
Yeah. I think it's a really cool program, Joel, because you hit the nail on the head, I think, with you have to be super specific in whatever your marketing message is. That's why programs like tax and Social Security have traditionally performed really well, because you're either wanting to learn about this thing or you're not. And that makes that conversion decision really simple. And I think that adding the time element to this idea of income planning, it gives people a little bit more of a specific approach and an idea right up front exactly what they're going to learn in the event. So I think it's a really unique approach that makes something that traditionally is harder for us to market, like income planning, like a lot more specific and actionable. So I'm excited to see where that program goes. Joel, I think in just wrapping up here, I want to make sure I'm respectful of your time and we keep this to a length that everybody wants to watch. You mentioned earlier you're a big reader. I'd love to hear, if you had one book that you were going to take to the beach to read for fun, and you had one book that you were going to take maybe home to your study to read, reread a business book, what would be your two go-to books that you'd want to throw in your bag and run out the door with?
Well, for fun, it's anything by Michael Grisham. If he comes out with a book today, I'll have it read in the next 2 days. I love Michael Grisham. He's my favorite. It's actually John Grisham, duh. John Grisham, who writes all the legal novels. And, just anything he comes out with, I eat up right away. For a business book, it's one I'm going through right now with a highlighter, and it's Keith Cunningham's The Road Less Stupid. It's just a phenomenal business book. That goes through the mistakes. He calls it the stupid tax, mistakes that a business owner makes, and it costs you $100,000, $500,000, $1 million, and you never get that money back. It's got thinking questions in there, just some great thinking questions. So I can't say enough about that book. There's another one that Cody Foster sent me by Bill Campbell, who is a big coach to a lot of the Silicon Valley, major firms. Haven't got to that one yet, but I'm excited about that one. But I would say The Road Less Stupid is a fantastic business book.
Awesome. Very cool. We'll go ahead and link those down below in the notes here on the YouTube video as well.
Jonathan, if you're going to link one, you got to put another one in there. I don't know if this is even still available, but it's called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. It's an old one. It's probably 25 years old. Very important for any business owner to read. It'll teach them how to build a scalable business that they don't become a slave to.
Awesome. Okay. We'll definitely put that in there as well. Cool, Joel. Well, I super appreciate you being on here with us. I think it's really valuable for people to see businesses that are just different than theirs, because if you go and talk to 50 people that run the same practice you do, you're not going to learn a whole lot from them. So talking to businesses that are smaller than yours, bigger than yours, East Coast, West Coast, I think it just the perspective and learning something new is really great. So Joel, thanks for being generous with your time and also with your information here. Really appreciate you having you on here with Summit Stories.
A lot of fun, Jonathan. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.